Story 1. My family absolutely hates my boyfriend, and I'm at my breaking point. We've been together for over a year now, and things between us are honestly great. He treats me better than anyone ever has, supports my dreams, and makes me feel genuinely happy. But my family? They act like I'm dating some kind of villain, and it's tearing me apart. It started small. The first time I brought Jake home to meet my parents, I could tell something was off. My mom kept giving him this tight-lipped smile, and my dad barely said 2 words to him. At first, I thought maybe they were just being protective, classic dad vibes. But then the comments started. "He's too quiet," my mom said. "It's weird. Like he's hiding something." My dad went harder. "What does he even do for work? Is this really the kind of guy you see yourself with?" Here's the thing, Jake is quiet, but that's because he grew up in a household where speaking up got him yelled at. He's not some sketchy, secretive guy, he's just careful with his words until he trusts someone. And yeah, he works construction instead of sitting in some office, but he's good at what he does, pays his own bills, and is saving up to start his own business someday. But to my family, that's not enough. To them, he's just unambitious and not going anywhere. The worst is my sister. She's 2 years older than me and has always acted like she knows better. The second she met Jake, she decided he was off. No real reason, just a vibe. She's always making little comments like, "I don't trust how fast things are moving with you too," or, "He just seems like the type to love bomb you." Like, what does that even mean? Because he remembers my coffee order and brings me soup when I'm sick? Last weekend was the final straw. We had a family dinner, and Jake went out of his way to be charming, brought my mom her favorite wine, asked my dad about his new grill, even laughed at my sister's terrible jokes. But the second he left, it was like they'd been waiting to pounce. "He doesn't talk about his family at all, that's a red flag," my mom said. "He didn't even go to college, and he's already 26. What's his plan?" my dad added. And my sister, of course, dropped the bomb, "I don't like how he looks at you. It's like he's obsessed." I lost it. "You don't even know him," I yelled. "You've decided he's a bad guy based on nothing. Now they're saying I'm too defensive and not thinking clearly. But am I? Or are they just refusing to give him a chance because he doesn't fit their idea of who I should be with?" The messed up part is that their disapproval is starting to get to me. I know Jake is a good person. I've seen him stay up all night helping his buddy fix a car just because he promised he would. I've watched him slip money to a homeless guy outside our apartment without making a big deal about it. But when everyone around you is whispering that you're making a mistake, it's hard not to wonder, what if they're right? But then I think, if Jake were really some toxic, controlling guy, wouldn't he be trying to cut me off from my family? Instead, he keeps saying, "I don't want to come between you and them. I'll keep trying until they see I'm not going anywhere." So why won't they try? I don't know what to do. Do I keep pushing them to give him a real chance? Do I just accept that they'll never like him and deal with the tension? Has anyone else been through this? Did your family ever come around, or did you have to choose? Story 2. We've been living together for about 8 months now, and at first everything was great, we got along well, split chores evenly, all that good stuff. But over the last 3 months, she's turned our apartment into what feels like a revolving door for random dudes, and I'm so over it. It started small, she'd bring a guy home maybe once a week after going out. No big deal, right? We're both in our mid-20s, I get that dating is part of life. But now? Now it's like 3 or 4 different guys a week, sometimes multiple in one night. And I don't mean she's dating them, these are clearly just random hookups. I've lost count of how many times I've walked into our kitchen at 7 a.m. to find some shirtless stranger making coffee like he lives here. The worst part is she doesn't even warn me. I'll be chilling on the couch watching TV in my pajamas, and suddenly she's walking in with some guy from Tinder, giving me that, "Oh sorry, didn't know you'd be home" look. Like, it's my apartment too? Shouldn't I at least get a heads up before strangers are in our space? Last week was the final straw. I had a huge work presentation the next morning and went to bed early, only to be woken up at 2 a.m. by noises. Loud ones. From what sounded like 2 different guys, yes, at the same time. I banged on her door and told them to keep it down, but the next morning I found one of them had used my towel. My towel. I nearly lost it. When I confronted her about it, she just laughed it off like I was being uptight. Come on, we're young. Live a little, she said. But it's not about being prude, it's about basic respect and boundaries. I don't feel comfortable in my own home anymore. I've started keeping my toiletries in my room because I don't trust that random dudes won't use them. The kicker? Our lease doesn't allow subletting or overnight guests more than 3 nights a week without approval. I've thought about telling the landlord, but I don't want to be that person. At the same time, I'm paying half the rent to live in what feels like a frat house. I tried setting boundaries, asked her to at least text me when she's bringing someone over, to keep it to certain nights, to not have them over when I have important work stuff, but she just rolls her eyes and says I'm being controlling. Am I crazy here? Is it unreasonable to not want a parade of strangers in my living space? I've started looking at new places, but our lease has 4 more months. I don't know if I can take 4 more months of this. Has anyone dealt with this before? How did you handle it? Do I just suck it up until the lease ends, or is there a way to get through to her? Story 3. So, my best friend Lisa has been dating this guy Mark for about 6 months now, and I swear, I've never met anyone more insufferable in my life. At first, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, new relationships, butterflies, all that. But now? Now I'm convinced he's a full-blown narcissist, and watching Lisa get sucked into his nonsense is driving me up the wall. It started small, like these things always do. He'd make these little jokes that weren't really jokes. Like, Lisa would tell a story about her day, and he'd cut in with, "Babe, you're butchering this. Let me tell it." And then he'd take over like it was his story to begin with. At first, she'd laugh it off, but I could see it bugging her. Then came the constant need to one-up her. Lisa got a promotion at work? Instead of just being happy for her, he'd go, "That's cool, but you should hear about the insane project I just closed." Like, can she just have her moment? But no, everything has to circle back to him. And God forbid she wants to spend time with anyone else. One time, she went to her sister's birthday dinner without him, and he gave her the silent treatment for 2 days, saying she clearly didn't care about him if she could just abandon him like that. The worst part is how he's gotten inside her head. Lisa used to be so confident, but now she second-guesses everything. If she calls him out on his crap, he flips it around. "Wow, you're so sensitive. Can't you take a joke?" Or, "You're overreacting, like always." Classic gaslighting, right? But she buys it every time. Then there was the incident with his coworker. Lisa saw texts between them that were way too flirty, like heart emojis and "miss you" levels of inappropriate. When she brought it up, he didn't even apologize. Instead, he turned it around on her. "If you trusted me, you wouldn't be snooping. This says more about you than me." And guess what? She ended up apologizing to him for assuming the worst. I wanted to shake her. The final straw for me was last weekend. We were all out to dinner with friends, and Lisa was telling everyone about this amazing hiking trip she took. Mid-sentence, Mark cuts her off with, "Yeah, but my hike last year was way harder. The elevation was insane. You wouldn't understand unless you've done something like that." The whole table just froze. Like, who says that? Lisa just laughed awkwardly, but I saw her face. She was hurt. Afterward, I pulled her aside and straight up asked, "Are you okay with how he treats you?" She got defensive immediately. "He's just confident. He challenges me." I wanted to scream. That's not confidence, it's arrogance. And it's not challenging someone to be better, it's tearing them down. I've tried sending her articles about narcissistic behavior, I've dropped hints, I've even flat out told her he's manipulative. But she just says, "You don't know him like I do," or, "He's not that bad." It's like she's under some kind of spell. I don't know what to do at this point. If I push too hard, I'm scared she'll pull away from me. But if I say nothing, I'm watching her walk straight into a relationship that's going to destroy her self-esteem. Has anyone else been in this situation? Did your friend ever wake up and see the truth? Or do I just have to sit back and watch this train wreck happen? TLDR, my best friend is dating a narcissist who constantly belittles her, makes everything about himself, and gaslights her into thinking she's the problem. She doesn't see it yet, and I don't know how to help without pushing her away. Story 4. My family told me to be more normal, so I moved out and couldn't be happier. I've always been the weird one in my family. While my siblings were getting married and having kids by 25, I was backpacking through Southeast Asia alone. While they were settling into corporate jobs, I was working freelance gigs so I could have the freedom to travel. And while they were buying houses in the suburbs, I was perfectly happy renting a tiny studio downtown. For years, my family treated my life choices like some phase I'd grow out of. When are you going to settle down? Don't you want a real career? You're almost 30, shouldn't you be thinking about marriage? I'd laugh it off, but the comments kept coming, each one dripping with disapproval. Then, at Christmas dinner last year, my dad dropped the bomb: you need to start acting more normal. People are starting to talk. That was it. That was the moment I realized I'd spent my entire adult life trying to justify my happiness to people who couldn't even see me for who I was. So I did something normal people do: I signed a lease on my own apartment. Not because they wanted me to, but because I wanted to. No roommates, no compromises, just a space that was entirely mine. I filled it with secondhand furniture, hung up art I actually liked, instead of the generic, live laugh love crap my mom always bought me, and adopted a rescue cat named Toast. The first time my parents visited, my mom wrinkled her nose at my neon pink couch. "This is a choice," she said. My dad asked why I didn't just buy a house, like your sister. But for the first time, their words didn't sting. Because I wasn't living for their approval anymore. Now, when they ask when I'm going to grow up, I tell them I already have, into someone who doesn't need their permission to be happy. And honestly, that's the most normal thing I've ever done. Story 5. My neighbor called the cops on my music, but here's what really happened. So, I, 26M, live in an apartment building that's usually pretty chill. Thin walls, yeah, but most of us are cool about noise, a little TV here, some music there, nothing crazy. Until last night, when I got my first ever noise complaint, and a cop at my door. Here's the thing, I was playing music. But it was 7:30 p.m. on a Friday, volume at like a 6 out of 10, just some chill hip-hop while I cooked dinner. Not a party. Not bass shaking the walls. Just me, my stir-fry, and Kendrick Lamar. Then, knock knock, there's an officer asking me to turn it down because of a complaint. I was stunned. I apologized immediately, turned it off completely, and peeked out the peephole to see which neighbor it was. Of course, it's Mr. Grumpsworth from 3B, the retiree who glares at everyone in the hallway and once left a passive-aggressive note about my excessive sneezing. The cop was nice about it, at least. Some people just have nothing better to do, he muttered as he left. But here's where it gets wild. When I went downstairs to take out my trash an hour later, I could hear Mr. Grumpsworth's TV blasting Fox News through his door, way louder than my music had been. So now I'm stuck. Do I A. Start a petty war and report his noise every time his Judge Judy marathon exceeds 60 decibels? B. Kill him with kindness, bake him cookies he'll probably suspect are poisoned? C. Just accept that I live next to a hypocrite with a superiority complex? TLDR, neighbor called the cops on my totally reasonable evening music while his own TV is louder than a sports bar. The audacity is breathtaking. Story 6. Should I warn my coworker that he's dating my toxic ex? So, I, 27F, ran into the most awkward situation at work this week. My coworker, Dave, 29M, who sits 2 desks over, just started dating my ex-girlfriend, Sarah, 26F. And not just any ex, the one who emotionally destroyed me last year. Here's the thing, Dave's a genuinely nice guy. We're not super close, but we grab lunch sometimes, and he's always been cool. Meanwhile, Sarah? Oh boy. Gaslighting queen, cheated on me twice, that I know of, and once faked a pregnancy scare to test my loyalty. The breakup was so bad I had to take a week off work just to reset my brain. Now, I found out they're dating because Dave casually mentioned her name in conversation yesterday. My stomach dropped. He clearly has no idea who she really is, he was all smiles talking about their amazing connection. Do I say something? Part of me wants to pull him aside and say, dude, run. But another part thinks, it's none of my business. It might look like I'm jealous or trying to sabotage them. Sarah could twist it into, oh, he's just obsessed with me, her classic move. At the same time, if I don't warn him and she does to him what she did to me, will he resent me for staying silent? Reddit, what do I do? Mind my own business or give him a heads up? And if I do say something, how without sounding bitter? TLDR, my decent coworker is dating my nightmare ex. Do I warn him or stay out of it? Edit, they've only been dating 3 weeks, so it's still early. But knowing Sarah, she's already love-bombing him hard. Story 7. I need some advice because I'm at my wit's end with my boss. I'm a salaried graphic designer at a marketing agency, and what started as occasional late requests has turned into constant unpaid overtime demands. My contract clearly states standard 9 to 5 hours with no overtime requirements, but for the past 6 months, my boss has been pushing more and more work outside those hours. It started with the classic, just one quick thing, at 4:55 p.m., but now I regularly get Slack messages at 9 p.m. demanding work by 8 a.m. the next morning. If I don't respond immediately, I get passive-aggressive comments about not being a team player. Last week was the final straw when I was assigned a major weekend project on Friday afternoon with the not-so-subtle hint that I should consider staying late. When I brought this up with HR, they gave me the usual corporate speak about everyone pitching in and being flexible. But this isn't flexibility, it's systematic exploitation. I'm salaried at a rate that definitely doesn't account for all these extra hours, and there's no overtime compensation. I'm in California, which I know has decent labor laws, but I'm not sure if this crosses into illegal territory. Part of me wants to stand my ground and start refusing these demands, but I'm worried about retaliation. Another part thinks I should just start documenting everything and quietly look for another job. The worst part is I actually enjoy the work itself and most of my colleagues, but this after-hours expectation is destroying my work-life balance. I've started keeping screenshots of all those late-night messages and unreasonable demands, just in case. Has anyone dealt with this before? Is this technically legal since I'm salaried? Should I push back harder or just cut my losses and start job hunting? I feel like if I don't do something soon, I'm going to either burn out completely or snap at my boss in a way I'll regret. TLDR, boss keeps demanding unpaid overtime despite my contract stating normal hours. HR won't help. Is this wage theft or just corporate America being corporate America? Story 8. Why? So I need some advice on how to handle this neighbor situation before I completely lose my mind. I live in a decent apartment complex, nothing fancy, but usually pretty quiet. That is, until the new guy moved in downstairs about 2 months ago. Let's call him Party Dave, because oh my god, this dude throws the loudest gatherings like it's his actual job. At first, it was just occasional weekend stuff, music bumping until midnight, whatever. I can deal with that. But now? Now it's like every other night. Last Thursday, I had to be up at 6 a.m. for work, and at 1:30 in the goddamn morning, I'm lying in bed listening to what sounds like a full-blown rave happening directly beneath me. Bass shaking my floor, people screaming like they're at a concert, the whole deal. I finally caved and called the front office, but of course, by the time security rolled around, things had calmed down just enough that they didn't do anything. Here's the thing, I'm not some cranky old person who hates fun. I get it, people want to hang out. But there's a difference between having friends over and turning your apartment into a nightclub on a Tuesday. The worst part? I've never even met this guy. He moved in during the pandemic, so we've never had that awkward, hey, I'm your neighbor, small talk in the hallway. So now I'm stuck. Do I leave a polite note, but risk coming off passive-aggressive? Knock on his door and try to talk face-to-face, but what if he's one of those, mind-your-business, types? Just keep calling the leasing office every time it happens, even though they clearly don't care? Buy industrial-strength earplugs and accept my fate? I don't want to start some neighbor war, but I also can't keep losing sleep over this. Anyone dealt with something similar? How do you handle it without making things weird? TLDR, new neighbor throws ridiculously loud parties multiple times a week. I need to say something but don't know how without coming off like the bad guy. Help. Story 9. Help, my husband thinks I'm a robot. So, I, 31F, have been married to my husband, 33M, for 5 years, and last night, over dinner, he hit me with the most bizarre accusation yet. Sometimes I think you might actually be a robot. At first, I laughed, assuming it was one of his weird jokes. But then he doubled down. No, seriously, he said. You never cry at movies. You wake up at the exact same time every day, even on weekends. And you always measure the pasta before boiling it. Like, exactly 2 ounces. Who does that? I was speechless. Yes, I'm organized. Yes, I like routines. But a robot? Then he started listing evidence. I don't like surprises, because surprises are usually bad. I argued. I once fixed our Wi-Fi by just staring at the router, it was unplugged. I don't get brain freezes, that's not a human thing, he insisted. The worst part? He genuinely seems unsure. Last night, I caught him booping my nose while I was sleeping, like he was testing for a power button. This morning, he accidentally spilled water on me to see if you'd short circuit. I love this man, but I'm starting to wonder if he's the malfunctioning one. What do I do? Do I lean into it and start beeping randomly? Stage an elaborate malfunction to mess with him? Or just accept that I married a conspiracy theorist who thinks his wife is a sleeper agent from the future? TLDR, my husband is convinced I'm an android because I'm punctual and good with tech. Send help. Story 10. I need to vent about this because I'm honestly at my breaking point with my family. For years, they've treated me like I'm some kind of irrational lunatic just because I don't blindly agree with everything they say or follow their outdated, hypocritical rules. But here's the thing, I'm not the crazy one. They are. And I'm done pretending otherwise. It all came to a head last Sunday at our weekly family dinner. My mom brought up politics, again, and when I calmly pointed out that her favorite news channel has been caught lying multiple times, the whole table acted like I'd started screaming about lizard people. My brother actually said, "Here we go again with your conspiracy theories," and my dad just shook his head like I was some hopeless case. Meanwhile, they're the ones who still think microwaves give you cancer and that the moon landing was fake, but only when it's convenient for their argument. Then there's the way they treat my life choices. I don't want kids. You'll change your mind. I prefer renting over buying a house. You're throwing money away. I take mental health days from work. In my day, we just toughed it out. It's like any decision that doesn't fit their narrow worldview is automatically crazy. The worst part? They're not even consistent. My sister can drop $500 on designer shoes and no one bats an eye, but when I spend money on therapy, suddenly I'm wasting cash on nonsense. My cousin can believe in actual astrology and talk about Mercury retrograde ruining her life, but if I mention that maybe, just maybe, billionaires shouldn't exist, I'm unhinged. I'm so tired of being gaslit into thinking I'm the problem. I'm not the one who falls for every Facebook scam or thinks essential oils cure depression. I'm not the one who refuses to listen to experts but will believe a random uncle's Facebook post over actual science. At this point, I've stopped trying to convince them. I just nod, say, okay, sure, and go live my life. But it's exhausting being treated like the black sheep when I'm literally the only one in this family with a working BS detector. TLDR, my family thinks I'm crazy because I don't blindly accept their nonsense. Meanwhile, they believe in actual conspiracy theories and can't see the irony. Update, just got a text from my mom saying I'm too sensitive. Cool. Cool.